Have you ever wondered what a mortgage advisor does? If you're thinking about doing this as a career, this video is for you because we're going to unpack exactly what a normal advisor would do on a day-to-day basis. My name is Ash Borland and I'm a mortgage business coach and brand strategist. I've helped mortgage brokers scale their businesses and simplify success. But as I said, this video is purely focused on people who are thinking about getting into a career as a mortgage advisor and whether or not this should be the ideal career for them. I think it's a wonderful career. You can have some real impact in it, but it isn't for everybody. And I want to give you a very honest and upfront idea of what is really entailed as the average advisor. So let's dive straight into it. The first thing any mortgage advisor needs to do is they would normally start their day with a purpose. As a mortgage advisor, the advisor would get lots of emails and lots of messages coming through on a daily basis. They might be getting WhatsApps, text messages, DMs through social media. They may be getting emails. So being aware of what is going on in the morning is the first thing a good mortgage advisor will do. They will then start to plan their day and prioritize. Most of the time, an advisor or mortgage broker, they are going to be dealing with lots of people in stressful situations. Buying a house is stressful. Getting a very large debt is stressful. All of these things require attention. And to the client themselves, that situation is the most important. But the job as the advisor is to understand which is the one that needs to be dealt with right now and which one is the one that could be maybe dealt with later on in the afternoon or tomorrow. Which then brings me on to my third point with this, which is industry updates. So every single morning, the advisor will check for industry updates. There is constant criteria changes. There are lenders that are pulling rates and changing different things, especially with interest rates going all over the place. Being on top of what's actually happening in the market has never been more important than it is right now. The advisor would look, they would make sure that everything is okay, that there's no major updates that would affect their clients, and then that would keep them on the front foot. You then go into client meetings and consultations, probably the most fun bit. This is the bit that everybody wants to do, especially if you're a people person. If you're considering getting into this career, this can be a phenomenal, very rewarding career, and this part of it is the best bit. Client meetings can take normally about an hour. You might speak to maybe 3 to 4 clients per day. In some employed roles, that might be much higher. In some bank roles, that might be like 1 to 2. So some advisors will do in-person meetings, very common in banks and also very common in corporate estate agency based mortgage brokering, whereas a self-employed advisor may be more virtual. If it's an employed company, they like in-person because they normally have a venue and they like to bring the clients in and they can also watch what you're doing. If you're a self-employed mortgage advisor or mortgage broker, then normally they would do virtual because it gives them a significantly more time back because they don't have to travel between meetings instead of going to somebody's house. The job of an advisor is to understand exactly what the client needs and to give them advice. The name is in the title, a mortgage advisor. And so because of that, it is vital to understand their needs. You have to understand everything about them and have awkward conversations. They're going to be talking about bad credit. They're going to be talking about death in the family. They're going to be talking about insurances, people getting critically ill. All of these conversations are happening, and it's understanding the client's needs is all part of an advisor's role. If you're not somebody who's necessarily either comfortable with that or wanting to get comfortable with that, then it's probably not the role for you because you won't be able to do the correct job. But if you are somebody that likes that, then 100% this job could be great for you. Now let's have a little bit of a chat about paperwork and the application process. The mortgage industry is highly regulated by the FCA, which is the Financial Conduct Authority. And so because of that, there is a lot of paperwork involved, and it is important that you do have some form of paper trail. An advisor, when they're doing their job, they're going to be keeping copious notes throughout the day for every meeting of what it is they're actually doing so they can demonstrate it. If there ever was a complaint, with any file checking, this is the type of stuff that happens. So it's a lot of creating a paper trail for every single client interaction. The other thing we have to be aware of is the type of software and tools that will be used. So as a mortgage advisor, they will normally be working with CRM systems. They may be working with sourcing systems where they go and source what lenders are actually offering. They'll be looking at affordability systems. So tools and software is a big part of the role. And many people do struggle with the tech side of it. And so it's one of those things to be aware of, is that there's a very personal side of it, and being with people and people buy from people is very human. But you also have this side where you need to make sure that you are happy and comfortable dealing with technical software. You don't have to be a tech genius, but you have to be some level of computer literate to be able to do the job correctly. The final point I'll say on this one, attention to detail is massive. Because it is regulated, it means that you cannot afford to just make mistakes. Any mistake that you do, the wrong number, the wrong thing in the application, could potentially cost the applicant their house. But that is not everything that an advisor does. So what else do they do? We have follow-up and client management. So you may be picking up by now that a mortgage advisor does a lot of things. They're not just doing one thing. There's a lot of plates to manage and spin. And so on top of speaking to clients, following up with clients and lenders, we have to progress those cases. We have to make sure that the people we have spoken to and have signed up, they would have made sure that the clients and the cases are progressing. I have a video on my YouTube channel with Craig Skelton, who is a mortgage business coach like myself, talking about managing pipeline. This is a big part of this. So on top of following up with your clients and lenders, you need to solve problems. I wish it was as easy as just you said it and it happened and it was done. But sadly, that's not the case. It doesn't work that well. Your job as a mortgage advisor, if you choose to go down this route, would be to solve issues when they come up. That's where the real value comes in. And hopefully, touch wood, there are no problems for your clients. But if they do, then this is the thing you have to also solve and fit within your day, providing reassurance for the client. A lot of the time, jobs as an advisor is just holding someone's hand and letting them know that everything is going to be okay. So the mortgage day is pretty much over, but there's still more to pack into that ridiculously already overpacked day. And one of those things is administrative tasks and wrapping up the day itself. It's not one of those jobs where you can just pack your bags up and, you know, I'll see you tomorrow morning. That doesn't work well at all. And so one of the things that normally has to take place, they'll make sure that all the files are stored in the safe places, they're labeled correctly. You want to make sure that everything is stored away neatly so you can find it again in the future. You need that paper trail, as we said earlier, and that's where good advisors will make sure that they're creating easily documented and indexed paper file management so they can find them whenever it is necessary. They will then start to plan for tomorrow. So looking at what you're going to do tomorrow and see if there's anything you could potentially prepare now to make you ready for the next day. It's very easy to get overwhelmed as a mortgage advisor because there is so much coming along. So good advisors will keep on top of this. Diary management is crucial. The diary management and task management is where you will live and die. And so planning for tomorrow and planning in the morning for the rest of the day are the two cornerstones in my opinion. That's kind of the day in the life of a mortgage broker or mortgage advisor. That is what they would have to do. They'd have to fit all of that in. And it sounds like a lot and it feels like a lot. There's a little bit of an extra thing I wanted to add at the end of this that I think is vitally important for anybody who's considering taking this as a career. This is about all the other things the job might impact. So when most mortgage advisors really struggle with balancing work-life balance is probably one of the hardest things to do. Many mortgage advisors who are in this job really struggle with the idea of going on holiday or any extended amount of time away from the business. It can be very difficult. The key to longevity in this industry is being able to balance that. The other point I'd raise on this one is networking and learning. So part of your job as an advisor, if you choose to do this, will be to continuously develop. But it's not just that, it's going to be also networking, going out and meeting people, going to local events, going to industry events, speaking to people on podcasts. All of these things can be part of the role. And so it does require a lot of extracurricular activity, especially if you're doing it self-employed, because you're only successful if people know you. And this one, which is family time and personal hobbies, is one that's becoming more and more important to me as I'm getting older and with my children and my own personal life. Having been self-employed and been in the industry for a while, it's very easy for mortgage advisors to lose sight of this. And I've met many people who do this. It's a very lucrative career and can take over your life. And I've seen this happen time and time again. Being able to balance your personal time outside of work as well as time with your family is very overlooked and something you really should have as a non-negotiable if you want to be successful at this in the long term. So being a mortgage advisor is a great career choice, and it's one that I would highly recommend anybody who wants to pursue. And so if you're wanting to get qualified as a mortgage broker and you want to know how you can be signed off and start giving advice, then check out this video on screen here where I sat down with one of the heads of training at a large mortgage network where he explains exactly how you can get competent advisor status and become a mortgage broker even without your exams.